Greetings. How you doing? Welcome. My name's John Skippy Limcool. I haven't seen you guys in 2 weeks. Something like that, right? There's Bernie. All sorts of people are here. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Have I got some adventures to share with you guys? Been working, coming up with some really cool stuff as we continue developing Signs of Life. There's epicness everywhere. This artwork is not final, by the way. My art director, Matt Chowski, is working on the finalized artwork, so it's got a little ways to go. This will probably be out, I'm thinking, like the early part of June or end of May. Like I said, I'm not rushing this. I want to spend more time diving into this, and there's been a lot of other stuff going on, so and just cool inside of these sounds. If we mute these guys, this pad that's just kind of chilling in the background, you hear crickets and stuff interspersed in there. So fun stuff. Save, patch, quick. Oh my gosh, where to even start? I think I need a drink of water. Welcome everybody. Good to see you all. People are checking in to see what's new. Well, there is something very new that I will be showing you guys if I pop over here and turn this like this. And that's Unify. This is our humble plugin that Shane Dunn and myself have been developing and building. We've been working on it quite a while in concept, and in the last 6 months, it's been developing really nicely into a real, I think somewhere in December, I played it for the first time with it doing what it could do. And actually this last week, we had some other major developments that I'm really happy to share with you guys beyond what I showed at Superbooth. So let's do this. Let's start with Unify, then we'll talk about Superbooth, and then we'll talk about Signs of Life and make some patches. Hey, yeah, good to see you all. Welcome. So Unify, you guys saw I put up a video that came live right when I was in Germany, in Berlin, introducing this. Urs Heckman and the UHI team are really nice people and friends of mine for a long. I've known Urs, and we've communicated by email and stuff since before audio units. His first software synth, Zoid, I made patches for it, so we've been around as friends for a long time. And he was really generous and let me have his little presentation for 1 hour of the show. They let me broadcast on the wall the interface for this and talk to people that came in. And by Saturday, the third day, there was like over 30 people there hanging out, checking this out. It was really, really fun. So the basic concept, before I get to showing you presets and stuff, is Unify is built for two purposes. It's built, number one, so I have a vehicle to make libraries with multiple samples across a keyboard, things that I can't do in Omnisphere, and to make it so that these work in a way that doesn't require you to own Omnisphere or something like that. Omnisphere is wonderful and I continue to support it, but I'm going to support this as well. And this opens up a whole lot of cool, exciting doors as well that we will be developing for a long time into making this. It starts as a cool village and it's going to just keep growing. So the basic concept that makes this really cool is, as you can see, this is a single instrument effect plugin on a single channel. And the really cool thing about this is that it lets you just, let me see, close all these windows down so that they're not broadcasting. You just click right here, and this is your instrument load, and you can change to any plugin that you own. So I could say I want to have Omnisphere, and boom, there's Omnisphere, just like that. And I can open up its interface, and I could go to Signs of Life, let's say, and I could choose something from here. And then if I want to add another layer, I just click right here. I could go to Uhi to Hive, which is now Hive version 2 that they're working on. This is really cool. We'll be doing videos and supporting this and stuff in the future. Yeah, so it's beta software, so it can crash. We won't try to play Hive 2 right now. That didn't work quite well. But the idea is you can load, as you can see, multiple, and if I initialize and just go to simpler and not, that's still in beta, and I can report that to them and to Shane, and we'll see what happened. There's always stuff like that that happens. But it's going to come with 3, and now maybe actually it's going to come with 4 synthesizers by default. One is DexEd, which is a really cool FM synth. And so we could go over here to like, oh, I like Tim Conradi. He is a friend of mine that worked at Camel Audio. He passed away actually about 5 years ago, but he still lives, and I think of him often. He was a really nice, I never met him in person, but he's put together really great libraries of sounds that he's found for FM. So let's say we want to add an effect to this. We have built-in reverbs. Some of those are test reverbs. We're not going to include all of them, but this one I know for sure we're going to include. And if I wanted to, I can add any effect. So I could go over here and I could say Valhalla Shimmer. And I could put a little feedback so it does this octave shifting. And then the new development this week I'll share, we'll see if this will work. It might crash again, but we're risky, is this Guru Sampler. We're going to be able to play samples from the get-go. I'm really excited about this. Shane worked really hard to put this together. Let me come over here so you can see. Let's say we want to choose Mega Magic Dreams for the library type, and then right here are all of the Mega Magic Dreams patches. And you can say we want to have, let's say, Dream Piano. Why not? So that's 2 layers. The cool thing about this is each layer takes up its own processor. So you can do things that are actually more efficient than they are in some synthesizers. Like on top of this, let's go to Spectrasonics and add Omnisphere. And let's add, oh, Valhalla's still ringing out. How funny. Let's add something from a library. One thing I wanted to announce is that the 2 Kid Anthem libraries that we sell, he's decided he wants to retire them. Doesn't want them to linger on. You know, the sales are big when it first comes out, and then it just trickles. And so that's not fun for sometimes so he's just going to retire it so that he doesn't have to worry about that. So June 1st, Kid Anthem 1 and 2 Omnilog both go away. So if you want these libraries, you have to buy them before June 1st or they're gone. So I now have 3 layers. I could keep building. That's what's fun with this. It's really unlimited. We could say, ooh, let's do something safe. I know Repro 5 shouldn't crash here. I mean, it might because we're... And let's go over here and... Let's go to the power pack that we released for Repro. And then the strings, transpose it up an octave. So if I like this setup, and then I could go in and I could add, say I wanted to add Valhalla's room to this sound. And have it decay nice and long and have it be the dark space. I can build as much as I want. As you can see, I can bypass the effects. And I can say this as a preset over here in the list. If you have different libraries, they show up here. It's gonna have a really cool interface for that type of a setup. It's really exciting. So you can take any effects and any instruments that you own and use them in new ways and save them as presets. So I can push a button right here and boom, it loads 5 hives. It splits 3 of them in the left hand and takes 2 of them for the right hand. And there's all sorts of cool rhythmic stuff for hive. And then if I wanted on top of this to add something, I could just go over here to Spectrasonics. Omnisphere has all sorts of BPM stuff too, right? So let's go over here and add something from Omnisphere. Yes, I need a helmet. I like to live dangerously, so I push it. I'm not sorry. We're in beta. We've got 3 months of work to get everything sussed out. So it doesn't do this to you. It can do it to me. That's fine. But you can click a button here. Here's 8 Dex eds. The TX-816 is kind of one of those synthesizers that lives in infamy. When the DX7 came out, like a year or 2 later, they made this rack that had 8 of the DX7 voicing cards in it. Each one was a separate module. And I actually owned a TX-216, and I couldn't afford the TX-816 was like, I think about $7,900. And we're gonna have all of the factory patches of a TX-816. In it. So the cello ensemble that was really, you know, and I know people are starting to ask about features. There are some things that we will be bringing out, actually quite a few things over time. We're going to start at version 1 and we will be adding lots of free updates of cool things to it as we go. I think if we make the sampler where you can use it to build your own stuff, that might bump up the price. but there would still be the bass unit with the sample player, because that's basically what we're doing with that little sampler thing. Again, we've got a lot of work to do to figure all this out. Whether it has multiple outputs when it ships, whether it has this or that. It's for PC, it's for Mac. And within one plugin, what's really cool is it can load 2 MIDI effects. So any MIDI effects that you happen to have, like Blue Arp, which is free, Numerology, Cream, which is a really cool MIDI arpeggiator that's programmable and stuff. You can actually load 2 of them and assign those to different, by right here, choose which sources you want. It can load any VST, VST3, or audio unit instruments, and it can load any unlimited number of VST, audio unit, or VST3 effects from whatever you own. So if we were to go over here, and even on one channel, if I did this during the show, if we go to and he's got all these Ubics, as you add these, the interface is going to get really small, which is really cool. If you need to like modify it, you have a little plus button. We're working on graphics, so again, everything you see might change interface wise. There's now velocity curve controls, which is cool. Here's your effects, so you can change the order around. I think we'll have a way where you can edit from here to here. Oops. I keep doing things that are new to the synth, and so it's not a synth per se. It has synth qualities. We have built into it our own effects. We have built into it our own sample player. It will ship with, as I said, DexEd. Let's see if we say initialize. It will ship with DexEd, which is right here. It will also ship with OBXD, which we have modified to where it now has 32 voices of polyphony. I also have the OK to include from Muhi Zebralet, which will also come with these a really cool, interesting little free reverb called Z-Rev, which has all sorts of band passing and so forth. So, and then the new one that Shane added this week that's really awesome is the built-in Guru sampler. And so these are the 4 instruments that will come with it. It will come with the library using these in all sorts of interesting ways. If we say factory, here's some of the patches that I've made so far that are just really just show just the tip of the iceberg. I did a couple new ones so I can show you. This is Mega Magic Dreams, playing inside a Unify. This is the first time you get to hear it. And I have it with DexEd, with Shimmer, with Zebra. I mean, I won't, when I ship this out, it won't come with Valhalla Shimmer. That preset will be prior. If you go down here, you can say change plugin, and we could go to our built-in to Reverb M, and that's just a simple straight ahead reverb. That's very nice. We're also going to be able to have other libraries that I've created from the Mega Magic series. Here's Mega Magic Pads. And again, if I mute this, we have those guys added to the Mega Magic Pads. And if you want to see CPU meter, long release, 3 synthesizers playing, and it's not even a fraction of what it is. If I played this in Serum, even with just the Mega Magic Pad by itself, it would be rather CPU heavy. My CPU would be pretty close to max. I can give you one last example that I did in the video that's kind of interesting. The multiprocessor support means that it can do some cool things where if I go over here to user, I made a patch called Scare the Neighbors. This is this patch in Omnisphere. And as you can see, it immediately goes boom. And my audio crackles and my delay hits and latency happens and all that kind of stuff. If I go to Unify, I have the same thing created, but it's loading up, and watch how fast it loads up 4 Omnispheres. And I keep pushing those buttons. I'm going to try it one more time. So go over here, call up the processors. We call up Scare the Neighbors. Let's see if it might crash again. I don't know. It didn't earlier. So it's just, you know. Okay. I see one question I want to address real quick. Ken is asking, I have many plugin packs I've collected over time. So will they be able to be used in Unify natively? That is not entirely clear. I mean, it loads Omnisphere and the libraries load in Omnisphere. So yes, you can use them. There will be enhancements, and I plan to include those as a plus library with some of the libraries. As you can see, there's things we can do using all these extra things. Yeah, the silence feature is really cool. I'll stop getting, you know, it's beta software, as you can see. There's a lot of things that can crash it and different rates and stuff. And our job is to do this and fix it so it doesn't do this in the future. So I'm kind of living on the edge a little, showing you stuff as we're working on it. But I'll teach you a word. I taught this at a Superbooth, and that's tonda. That means crash in Japanese. So, tonda, another crash. But the libraries will be new. I don't want to get into the details yet, but there will be complementary libraries. Details will come. We've got months to work on this, and so it's just what we're doing is really cool, but it's got some time to go. Okay, but anyway, that's Unify in a nutshell. You can load any instruments, any effects, to MIDI effects. You can split and layer them. You have key ranges here. Price will be announced. It's very reasonable for what it is. I want this to be something everybody can get to enjoy. If you use Cubase, this takes care of the whole fiasco with trying to use MIDI effects, because you can load a MIDI effect into this, load any instruments you want, and have use of MIDI effects without having to go through the separate instrument loading inside of Cubase. It's just really fun. It's a fun playground. So I could show you other patches and stuff. Here's a, let's see. I love this one. This is fun. This is using Repro 5, Repro 1, Dexed, and ZebraLet. As long as I just play the presets, I probably shouldn't crash. One cool thing also for those of you that do things with like Serum where you have basses all over the place, here's 5 basses. You can sequence and do everything in real time with one keyboard, playing as many sounds as you want. You could have a different patch on every single note if you wanted to. The interface does a cool thing is you shrink it. It shrinks like this and gets smaller. So you can Yeah, and this GUI we actually plan to improve, but the flow, I want the flow to be kind of something we're familiar with and comfortable with for accessing things and for the layout. There's a couple other companies that have made similar things, but it's more of like a matrix. And I just don't wrap my heads around that type of an interface. So this is a lot easier to understand. You also have auxiliary buses, just to show you the last couple features. So if we add a reverb here, it shows up with its own color, and you now have a knob here for the send amount per layer of that auxiliary bus. You also have master effects here where you can click and add additional things. So if you had, I know I might crash again when I do this, but you could say isotope add ozone 7 if you wanted to it, and it's now added to the end of the list, and open it up and there's all the parameters for ozone 7 to work with. So it has a master effects, it has auxiliary buses, it has insert effects, all in a pretty easy to use interface without having to flip pages. I'm not a fan of that. I like a flat interface. If you're familiar with my Super Macho drums for Contact, I want as much control in front of you as you can get before you have to open windows and stuff like that. So I really like the flow that we've got going on, and it's only going to get better. It keeps getting better by leaps and bounds with each revision that comes out from Shane. So mad props to Shane. This is all his baby. I'm strictly the guy saying, no, I want the knob here. I want the button here. I think it should flow like this. So I'm helping direct and produce it in that respect. And then I will promote it, do the voicing for it, and sell it at my site. But it is Shane that is laboring full-time on this as we speak to do this. So mad props to my brother Shane. It's really fun to play with, and the crashes and stuff, those are things that are pretty easy to fix once we get a little bit more handle on once we do things that crash and we repeat it, then we can fix it really easy. So that's as we go. Now, when you get it, it might crash depending on what plugins you use, because there's just so many freaking plugins out there on the planet and different combinations, and some of them have memory leaks and other issues to deal with. So I can't guarantee it won't crash, but we're going to make it as crash proof. And then you contact us and we will work to try to figure out what's causing issues when it comes out. But everything you're seeing we'll be able to do, and it's going to cost well over not well over, but under $100. So we're really excited for this. It's definitely something we believe in, and to have something like this. And here's the thing. I've seen a couple comments about people talking about you can do this in such and such. And yes, you can do this in Logic. It's confusing. I've actually worked with a friend of mine who's tried to make libraries for Logic, and he makes these things and he sends them to me, and they don't play here. Things are missing. Samples are missing. The Bitwig can do things. I think even you can do setups and so forth in Reason, of course, with the Combinator. But the thing is that this is a place I can do things like those big DAWs, but it's in a plugin, which means my friends with Cubase can use it, my friends with Digital Performer can use it, my friends with Ableton Live, with Logic, with Cubase, all of you get to use these. It's not dependent on a DAW. It's not dependent on you owning the DAW I like to use. That was my big goal, was to get this above the noise floor of, you know, you buy some of these libraries and people labor like crazy to make it so it's compatible. There's an Ableton version, and there's a Logic version, and there's a Cubase version of the same loops and grooves and samples, and that's a whole lot of programming. And I had a picture of something above that could work with everything and not require you to own what I like to use or what whoever the developer was likes to use. And so this will work within Bitwig. It will work within Logic. It will work everywhere. So it's a win-win for everybody. That's why I called it Unify. It puts everything together. And as somebody else was saying, the cool thing with this is maybe you love, let's choose, I might crash when I do this. I'll take the risk because I'm pretty cool with this. It's a work in progress. I've said what that is. Let's go to Native Instruments to Massive, right? So this is a synth plugin that's been around for a long, long time. And hey, it's not going to crash. And I could go to a library that I've created, go to browser. We could go down here to, do I have them in here? Let's see here. Base, close up all these other libraries. My Massive, Plug Groove Massive Volume 1. I could choose some sort of a cool bass sound. Let's say bass. I named it like this. And let's go over and have another Massive play. This is something you can't do with Massive, where you say the top range stops at CB2, and then it continues with the bottom note here of C3. And go to this Massive, and let's choose from the browser something down here. No, I got to go down here to here. Let's say a BPM patch, you know. And then if I wanted, I could keep going and do something crazy. I might crash. We're gonna take a chance. Let's go to the Guru sampler and open this up. And let me choose, say, the Mega Magic Pads libraries, and go, here's all the samples for Mega Magic Pads. And we could choose something like Guitartronic, and let's turn it down a little. So you can mix, split, layer, combine any way you want any of your plugins. So it's a groundbreaking little game changer, I hope. You can't do this with any other plugin. So it opens up all of your plugins you've spent all this money and collected. You can now use them together for cool, creative ways and save them. Put them into folders by categories. If you're working on an album, you can now make a set of sounds and then be able to reference those as you work on your album to call up sounds that you use over and over again instead of having to recreate them. All sorts of possibilities. So really excited with that. So Unify is what we are working on for our first commercial plugin, and it should be out. I'm saying third quarter of the year because I want to give it enough time to make sure that we do everything that we want to do to it. But anyway, there you go. Can you use it to mix stereo to mono? Maybe. I mean, every DAW has a stereo to mono effect. So all you have to do on your channel of that plugin is put in a stereo to mono and you can do it. Yeah, I'm actually getting Cubase 10, right? If you don't know, Cubase turns 30 years old. And so they are doing a very interesting 50% off their Cubase 10. So you can get it, and if you have an existing any other DAW, and you can take a screenshot of your reference and your serial number and your email, you can get it at a competitive upgrade, which makes Cubase 10 available for $170. So during this little promotion they're doing, that's a pretty cool thing. So if you don't have Cubase 10 and you've always wanted to get a new DAW to play with and you've thought about Cubase 10, you can download to try it as a free demo, and then if you want, go from there to getting it if you want. So again, this is a really cool library. There's 2 of them. And those of you that might not know the story about Kid Anthem, he's someone that contacted me through Facebook that had basically said to me that he learned all of his programming from watching the videos that I've created on YouTube for the last 10 years. And he had a set of Omnisphere patches he wanted to give away for free, and he sent them to me. And I was like, these are really good. We should put these together and make it a library that we release commercially for a nice little price, you know, for it's over 300 patches, right? And so we did. So Kid Anthem Volume 1 is his first library. And there's some great stuff. He lives in Mississippi. He has a tough job cleaning buses during the day. And he comes home at night and likes to program. So there's all sorts of really interesting, cool patches. Kid Anthem Volume 2, he went more into the analog, kind of synthy analog-y thing. Anyway, both these libraries we have for $20 instead of $39. And June 1st, they will disappear from the website. So if you want some cool patches, each library is over 300 patches. Okay, so let's talk about Superbooth. And I purchased it. Oh, great. I'm glad you like the Monarch patches. That's a really fun synth. You can do a lot with it. I'll tell you one of the cool things we want to add to Unify is the ability to take a mono synth and push a button on that channel and make it polyphonic. So Monarch in the future with Unify will be able to be polyphonic. So you can play the Mini Moog 3 oscillator, but not monophonic like it is, but polyphonic because of Unify. And that's like a future update we'll add for free after it's been out for a while. That's not going to come in version 1. We want to add that in the future. So we want to add all sorts of features like that over time. All the ideas that I have, and I'm sure we'll get ideas from people too. We'll listen to ideas and suggestions as we go. It's all kind of part of the fun of doing this. I like kind of the community involvement of getting everybody involved so you guys know what we're doing. A lot of people want to keep their company's plans and stuff secret, and I totally respect that, but that's not the way I work. I like sharing with you guys. So I see no harm in it. So I'm going to give you a little summary of, before Superbooth, the week before that, I actually went to, let's see if I do this, go Lightroom, see if I can get this to work. Went to New Orleans, and we stayed a block and a half away from the Jazz Fest, and it was so cool. I saw so much music, so many varieties of music. We just had a great time. It was really great. So I'll show, let's see here. This is like, the crowds were huge. So I think that was when we were seeing the Neville Brothers play. I think this is on a Saturday when there's like something like 90,000 people there. It was insane. We got to see Herbie Hancock. I got to see Zydeco bands. This is a really cool Zydeco band there's like 9 stages going on at once that are playing music. And so these guys got the rubbing like this, and he's on his B3, and the drummer was just kicking butt, and it was just really, really fun. We got to see Diana Ross, and at 75, she looks amazing, sings amazing, gave me chills. Got a little misty when she was singing one of the songs that I love very much from her. But she was just knocking it out. We also saw, where is it at? This nut. Here's Pitbull. I don't know how much jazz he has in him. He's not really someone I would think of as jazz, but he had a percussionist that they had out front playing all these cool percussion instruments and stuff, so I guess that kind of qualifies, but not quite. We went to cool restaurants. We got to go to Mother's, which is famous for the best baked ham. It was really, really good. There's no doubt it was delicious. We went and we had 2 pounds of crawfish. Let's see here. This is like 2 pounds of crawfish. We had, his name was Glenn. He taught us how you eat crawfish, how you break them. And I can't eat them. I'm allergic to shellfish, so I didn't want to risk it eating these guys. But everybody I was with really enjoyed it. This shop was really cool. We went to Reverend Zombie's Voodoo Shop. Here in Portland, Oregon, we have a place called Voodoo Donuts. So it was cool to go to a real voodoo shop. There's no donuts here. In fact, my little Gemini necklace is from them. It's really cool. We had cool drinks. We went around through the town. We saw this is really cool. Check this out. This looks like something from a princess diet, like that. But it's just, I just love the look and everything of this town is just super cool. We're hoping to go back next year, enjoy it again. So much music to just absorb and be around. It was really exciting for that part of it, and the food and the culture. It was a really unique experience to be there. And then I got back from this trip to New Orleans on Tuesday at 1 a.m. And then Wednesday at 8, I was on an airplane to Washington, D.C. the next morning. It was shell shock. And then, so I get to Washington, D.C. Here's boarding onto the airplane, the gate. When I got to Washington, D.C., we switched to the next plane like an hour and a half later. And then the captain comes on, and it's never a good sign when the captain goes, "Oh, we've been having some electrical problems, and we're getting to the bottom of this. Stay tuned." I had another flight with my daughter. We were going to a wedding, and I was going to be the photographer at the wedding. And similar thing where they come on with the electrical problem. Stay tuned. And just like that, the electrical problem couldn't be solved. 2.5 hours later, so I'm going to now miss my flight in Germany. They say, everybody has to board off this plane. It's a big 777. Next gate over had another airplane, so we waited for an hour, and then we got to board onto that airplane. I got to Berlin 3 or 4 hours late. I finally got the flight to Berlin. And this is on Thursday, and at 5 p.m., I'm showing Unify for the first time at Superbooth. And get to Berlin, my luggage doesn't show up. And so we don't have time to wait for my luggage to show up. So I go to Superbooth, and as you can see in this photo, this is me in my travel sweatpants and black t-shirt that I use for travel. That's what I wore for the first presentation of Unify. So I think there's a photo here. Yeah, here's photos of me showing Unify for the first time at Superbooth, at the Uhui booth, at the little nice room. And I'm not dressed like I wanted to be dressed at all, but I fit right in because the crowd at Superbooth is black t-shirts, black pants, black shoes. It's actually perfect. It was just fine. Um, here's some random things from the Superbooth. Here's the Korg. They had a big ice dome, and inside of it, you could see they were playing with all sorts of things. They have a really cool thing. Let's see if I go over here. Here's Urs Heckman. Oh no, this is Howard Scar. This is Howard. To me, if you guys want to ask who's the best programmer on the planet, my vote would be for this gentleman. I don't know anybody else that gets deeper into synthesis. If you go through Zebra 2 and you go through the patches that say HS, you will learn so much. This guy he does all of the synth programming work for Hans Zimmer on all the films. He did the Zebra Dark, all those patches that were for Batman. Howard made those. He is definitely the pinnacle at the top, in my opinion, when it comes to synth programming. And he's a wonderful, nice, sweet-spirited gentleman. Really enjoy hanging with him greatly. So there you go. One thing that was cool, here is this kit that is available. Let's see if I hit R. Can I rotate it? Photo. There. This is a kit from Korg that comes like this. And when you're done, it looks like this. I'm going to go like this. And it's a little make-it-yourself kit called the New Tech synthesizer that they showed. That's really cool. This was cool. This is a MIDI control touch surface, and it has pads, control surfaces, keyboards, frets, and it's aware of what you put on it. So if you put the frets on it, it has software that could be programmed to send to a different MIDI channel, a whole different way of working than when you put the keyboard on it versus the pads. So it was really cool. I really like the idea of it. Other things that were cool, it's big time modular synthesizer and hardware. So Dreadbox, this is a really cool, it's got this cool reverb, dual filters, 2 oscillators. There's things in the work like Pan that's been around for a while. I think this is this is the Summit, which is the new version of Peak from Novation, where it's now actually 2 Summit in 1 synthesizer, which is really cool. There's Food, Hanging, Got to Hang. This is the ESC. Bernie, there's Tim Dale, there's Fred Nougat from France that are all parts of the ESC. We were eating Italian food. Here they are at the Music Museum. This is, Yappa? Yeah, I think Yappa is his, I'm horrible with names. And so, but he's got his own triple spiral audio. That's him. He's a wonderful, nice man. Nice to meet everybody. So we did some selfies along the way. Architecture in Berlin is cool. Hanging with other friends and stuff. Some of these are from Thomann, from the synth things. The friend of mine from Yamaha that we saw. Here's the Unify brochures. Bernie from the ESC, he also has access to printing, and so he printed big posters and big promotions, and so we had a lot of fun time promoting, putting posters all over the place for Unify. The taxis are all Mercedes. Let's see here. That earring I swapped with someone. That's funny. More pictures. We went and saw around. This is the really emotional to see the Holocaust monument in Berlin. There's like 2,300 of these rectangular casket-sized types of squares. Really amazing. Got to see the Berlin Wall. Got to see, here we are at the Brandenburg Gates, which is cool. I love this. My daughter's really into pretzels, and here they have these people riding around on bikes selling them that way, which is really cool. In the actual middle of the road, check this out. It's really cool to see this. This is looking towards like the equivalent of the White House in Berlin. See this line right here? That is where the Berlin Wall used to be when it was divided between the east and the west side. And there'd be minefields and all sorts of things to kill, and it's all gone. It's so nice that it's one country in the way that they're together. This is a poster I took a picture of. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to see the Berlin Wall to see this poster, but actually I did get to go see the Berlin Wall. These are all photos from the Berlin Wall. And right here is the famous, actually was a photo from the 20s that somebody used to make this. There's a picture of these two guys kissing, which was interesting. I got to hang with Michelle Moog, Kosa, Rob Rampley. Here's Bernie, Peter Georges, and myself and some friends. We went to a gin bar, which is really cool. All sorts of really cool adventures. It was really a great trip to see so much cool stuff, to get to. We had an Airbnb about 20 minutes from where Superbooth was that Bernie had booked. And so we had a place for us to stay. So Bernie, Tim Dale, Peter, not Peter, but Fred Nougat, and myself stayed there. It was really fun. So I got to hang with them a lot, get to know Bernie and everybody much better. It was a wonderful trip on that front. Here, I do have a video I can share. This is kind of cool. Let's see if I can go over here. This is from my DVI. See, I think it's this one right here. So if I go to here to set this up, if I drag this to here, okay. Check this out. This will give you a feel for the vibe of Superbooth. Let's close this for a second and get this over here. Full screen. Ready? So I have this little DJI, not DVI, little camera, and it has a really cool gimbal on it. It's got a display on the back. If you plug it into the iPhone or to an Android, it will pop up and become the monitor on your phone, which is great. And it shoots great video, sounds great. So that's what I use walking around like this for this video. So here we go. They have music going all the time out here on this little stage. This DJ, she was really great. Behind to the left is all these food. They had buttered chicken with this really great spicy sauce, all sorts of things. And then here's the entrance into the backside of Superbooth, so we'll go in. Make sure you notice these beer guys. They show up in a little bit too. So when you walk in, notice you're just surrounded by modular companies. Hardware, hardware, hardware. It was like a mecca. And there's the beer, once again, getting set up. Here's keys, magazines. They do recording and some other magazines as well. Really nice people. I got to meet them.
Hey, right on.
Those are friends of mine. They do these really cool books, the Patch Tweak. More modular stuff. So if you love modular stuff, this is like nirvana. It's just, if you love synthesizers, there's Native Instruments was there. They had like public jams. They had all sorts of cool stuff going on. There was so much stuff just it's really cool to be at a place where everybody is into synthesis and sound. And the sound, they didn't have sound police that I could tell. At 6 o'clock, like trade shows, the lights don't go off. If people wanted to stay around for another half hour to talk to somebody, you could. I just loved the whole spirit of the event. It was really, really inspiring and exciting to be there and be a part of it and to see everything. So also, I should point out over here, you can't see it, but right back there is this door into this huge auditorium that is just incredible. And they would have all sorts. Let's see here. I've got a picture of that somewhere. Where was that? Right. Oh, here we go. This auditorium had shows going on all the time. Modular guys up there doing their thing. And this would be completely packed with some of the people that did things. It was really inspiring. So if you wanted to just see people using their gear, there were examples all over the place, both the DJ type of thing outside, the live concerts in here. As far as other synthesizers go, here's the Schmidt, which is a wonderful synthesizer that very few people can afford. It's like over $25,000, $22,500, I believe. Amazing. The things you can do here are the harmonics that can come out of that thing are really pretty insane. Other things that were cool that I saw, this definitely has to rank up there as being something that's very cool. This is the Super 6, which is a new synthesizer that has an FGPA processor in it. Snappy envelopes. It's like the oscillator and the effects were done with synthesis, with the computation, but it's got an analog filter. Rest of it's an analog audio chain. So it's kind of a combination hybrid synth. I was really impressed with that. That's supposed to be somewhere under $2,000. It's my understanding. Other synths that were cool. Let's see here. This is the Digitone keys. This is taking the Digitone and adding a keyboard with knobs and stuff to it. So it looks like a battering ram or something like that. It's a very cool thing that Electone had done. So that was a cool thing to see and play with. It sounds really good. It's FM synthesis, so it's got a really cool kind of a sound to it. Like this is a really cool. This is Marnik and Airwave. Airwave had saved me a copy of his 4 album. They're blue. The vinyl's blue. It's this translucent blue that's beautiful. And so I got to bring that home with me, and it sounds great on my record player. So I got to see and hang with Marnik, who I had never met before. He's the manager for Airwave for all the concerts and tours and stuff that Airwave does. They have a whole organization. Marnik actually is in charge of a whole bonsai progressive company that does all sorts of people that they tour with. This is cool. This is the Teenage Engineering. They had a modular synth, the 400 series, and then I think it's like 150 was another one that they had that were really cool. So kind of cool. It folds up. You can see it looks like it's like bread box kind of thing, and it had a way that it could fold up to be portable. Their design and stuff is just really top notch. Really, really cool to see. What else was there? Well, of course, this is just a little fatty, the Moog. They had a Patriarch, I believe it's called, which is a take on the grandmother, taken up a notch more, which is really cool. Yeah, it was a really great event. So many cool experiences and so much to see. Really, really cool. So I hope to go again next year. It's just one of the things. Oh, okay. Whole different subject. You want to see what I looked like in 1977 at 13? This is me with my mom and dad and my sister. Yes, that's me. If I hit plus. I had an afro at the time. It was the in thing. And my mom and dad owned a music store called Frontier Music. They had been in business for 1 year in Ontario, and we sold we rented musical instruments. We sold Yamaha pianos and organs. So this was Give the Best Ears of Your Life to Yamaha were the t-shirts we wore. So I've been around music all my life. So I worked at the trade shows and the fairs with my mom and dad every year forever. I love to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a moment back in time. Anyway, so any questions? I've covered a lot of ground, a lot of stuff. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, hey, it's history. That was me. Yeah, Super 6 was really cool. There's also a really cool thing called the Bee. I can't remember the full name of it, but it was this dark brown color with yellow accents. And the cool thing with it is that it's battery powered. Here we go. This cat is I was really impressed with this. It's an SH-101 clone. The cool thing about it is it has built in it a rechargeable battery. So you can recharge the battery. Oh, what did I do today? It has a rechargeable battery, and it can take the SH-101 accessory to make it like a guitar, which is really cool. And I think they're calling it the first totally analog synthesizer that has a rechargeable battery built into it. So they were very proud to be the first to offer that. So yeah, it was a cool event. It's really, really fun. I need help performing live, getting my mix to mono. Would rather not have to run Ableton underneath everything as a host. Well, you can bounce everything down to stereo mixes or to a mono mix, and then just have those in Ableton or another audio player playing that you jam with. A lot of times when you see a live show, someone's got their computer up there, but just remember, in a lot of cases, they're using their sequencer like it's just a CD player. It's playing back a pre-sequenced performance that they're going to jam to. Maybe they'll maybe play something live along with it. So you can have it where you just bounce it to mono, make it audio tracks to play if you want. That's one option. Will Unify recall the multis you build? You can save your presets inside of Unify. So absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a big part of it, is that it's got that good go. It will be under $100. I think you'll be shocked at how much under $100 we're going to open with. We're going to add features as we go. But it's a great value for what we can do. But as you can see, you have a browser. Any library, when you build a library and you go save, if you type in this name of a library and you make it a different library name, then that's going to show up as a new library name down here for you to control and look at. If you go instruments, you can see all the instruments that were used for these. And if I want to see instruments that use the Guru sampler, if I want to see the instruments that use Hive 2, I can see, I can turn this off, or just Omnisphere. I can see quickly that type of things. There's other tags. We're hoping to make it NKS compatible. There's a MIDI monitor, which gives you the show MIDI like we have as a free MIDI effect plugin built in. There's also going to be knobs. We are working on a system to figure out how to make it so that we can control parameters inside of these different plugins from knobs for real-time control. It's very complicated and makes my head hurt. But we have some ideas that we're working on there. So we are planning to make all sorts of cool capabilities. Some of these things, it might not come fully fledged out like it will be in the future. We just want to say this is chapter 1. And chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, we will add more things and let this grow to become pretty insane as far as what I picture in my head where this goes is just freaking awesome. And it loads. People that have worked with it are freaked out at how fast this can close. You just click to load and you've loaded. Then you go here and you choose 8 DX7s. and you choose 5 hives, and boom. It loads Omnisphere almost faster than Omnisphere because it doesn't have the whole database to deal with that Omnisphere does. So we're really proud of what we've got working on. We've got a ways to go, but it's really exciting. So yeah, you can save your own presets, absolutely. The whole idea is you can play with your sounds and save setups you come up with and organize them in a way that's easy to find and tag and all that kind of stuff. So that's all in the plan, man. So here is Omnisphere. Let's play with Signs of Life. This will be coming out in a couple months. We've got like 20 minutes to play with. So I've got separated out the ESC patches, which I've now put my favorite ones into the library here. So there's all sorts of cool things. Oh, this is a cool one. The Unsettled. Start with Obsessed. And then go to the Shy one. And I showed this earlier. String pad Solstice. Like that stuff. There's all sorts of stuff we've done. The pads are really cool. Remember Rain Cloud Falling? This is when we did in a live stream. Let's see, did I modify? Yeah, I took it down an octave. So there's synthy things you can see. Really fun. And inside of here, there's ambient samples, which is what I want to play with. We're going to do something with some of the actual samples of just ambience. So if we take C and D out, here's our ambient source. Right? And then on top of that, we have a pad. And you combine the two together. Right? So a big part of this library are the actual just raw samples. These. Oh. And Cahuita is on the Caribbean side, so you hear the ocean in the background. Right? But what's so fun with these samples is that down low, because I recorded 192 kilohertz, it's just awesome. So let's use this. Let's do a thing Let's have it be so that there's an envelope involved to slowly fade in and then fade out back to the sustain of 0. And the decay is too short. So this is where you want to open up. When you have it set like this and it's not quite the right shape and not quite the right time, the nice thing is you can open up with this and take a look. And because it's such a strong exponential shape, that means it's going to get to here far faster than if you bring this up and change the curve. So now the decay will be more natural. Here's coming up and then coming down. Hear it going down. Now I want to accentuate that, so I hear the going up and coming down a little stronger. So that's where resonance can come into play. So now let's hear it with resonance. Here you can hear it more clearly. And you really hear it clearly coming down now. Right? Now, there's a couple tricks we could use here. I kind of have layer A set the way I want. Now, layer B. Do I want this to be following elements similar to what layer A are doing? Let's just say yes, just for fun. So Unify. Omnisphere has built in these really cool options to copy and paste. And you have to realize what you want to copy. If I say copy part, it copies this entire patch. It considers a patch to be a part in this case because there's 8 parts. It's 8-part multi-timbral. But we're only working in a patch. So you go to this layer below it, which is just the part. And if I say copy layer and I'm selecting A, it has copied it. So now I can go to B and I can say, if I select B and then I say paste this layer, I have now pasted that exact same layer. So if I turn off A and here just B, it's the same. Now, I'm going to click here and keep the same everything in the synth, but I'm going to go over here to the libraries, to Signs of Life, and let's go down here to some of the pads and some of the things. The way that the library is organized sample-wise, all the ENV are environmental samples, and then below that you'll get to pads. So I kept it really simple. It's either an environmental or it's a pad. And the pads are things that have pitch. This is where I took the environmental sounds and I ran them through all sorts of different synthesis techniques to create different kinds of sounds. So let's say we want to use like maybe the slow violins. And maybe I want to bring down the resonance so it's not quite so peaky on this. And now let's hear what it sounds like with the environmental sound. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Let's play it. Really nice. Now, let's do this kind of community-like. Wow, you guys have a whole thing going on. Yeah, we have a lot of beta testers. We might open that more in the future, but we're going to do that kind of gently and slowly. So thank you for your patience. What could we do to this? Anybody have any suggestions that you want to do to this? One thing I want to do I'm going to go to layer A's effects. And I'm going to add a specific kind of EQ called parametric. And what's cool with parametric is the way to do this that I like to use is, let's do this. Let's turn off A so I only hear this. When I have the EQ really high, right in there, see how it makes that area really loud? Here's without it. I've emphasized it, so I have found that somewhere around 2000 hertz. Now, instead of plus max, I'm going to negative it max. And that makes it a lot smoother and not so peaky. So a lot of times I'll use a parametric to sweep around and find a certain frequency that's bugging me and then remove it. But you have to be at max first so that you can find it. So you turn down your speaker so you don't hurt your ears and find it, and then you can put it in negative. Maybe I don't want it to be minus 20 dB, but maybe it might. This way I can bring up resonance a little more. And when it gets to that peaky frequency, it dips it so it doesn't become so peaky. Okay? So that's one thing I want to do. I kind of think, let me see if you guys have any thoughts. Add a high soaring layer like Cape Siren calling. Ah, okay. Let's do that. But I also want to like maybe thicken this. One thing that's a fun trick to do to that is the harmonia. And I'll just use one oscillator instead of 4 oscillators because I'm concerned about polyphony with the pad. I'm going to put it at minus 12. And I've now made it more an octave pad, which makes it stand out a little bit more. Right? Here's without the octave. Right? Now here's with the octave. And then I can control the level. Right? Okay. And then add a high soaring layer. So let's turn those two off, and instead of the copy paste, let's find the sound that we want to use and like kind of build this without thinking about the other stuff. Okay. So we're going to go over here to one of the pads, like maybe Solitarium. And I know I want it to be an octave higher. I'm going to move the sample start a little later. And one thing that's really handy with a lot of these sounds is to go in and use a high pass filter. I'm going to kill the envelope so it's only the high pass filter like an EQ. And if you're not sure of what frequency it's cutting, bring up resonance. This will let you hear that low point of the cutoff. Like here's full frequency. About right there. And now I turn resonance off. So now I have this nice high tingly part. And you might go, well, there's not a lot of pitch to that. But I have other sounds doing pitch. So I'm kind of giving this the job of just a high-end like tingle stuff, soaring over the top. I might even want to like make this be more soaring, which means it slowly comes in. Maybe it slowly fades out. You could even do stuff where you zoom out, turn on lock, have this come down, add some more segments to this, and let's just have it kind of go up and down and up and down. And I'm going to turn on loop. So once it gets done with this little up and down sequence part and turn off latch so it no longer changes the length, I can now move this around so that if I turn on lock, it moves stuff after it. If I turn off lock, I can move this to where I want this to be for the shape. I want this to slowly grow up. Then it would come down. Let's have it come down even more. Here going down. And then coming back up. Let's speed this up a little bit. We could actually speed it up right here if we wanted to. Slow it down a little bit. So it has this motion to it, right? And now I'm going to make that like psh. And the way to do that is to add reverb just to see. Let's go over here, say reverb, add a proverb. Give it a nice, I'm going to take away the low end so it's just high end sizzle. And in fact, I'm going to go over here to the reverb shaping. It has tools so I can say high frequencies. I want them to really ring out instead of being short. They were shorter before, but now they're longer. Right? So it's down a little bit more. Now we can turn this down. So it just becomes this like evolving element. And then if I wanted to take this to like a whole different place, this is kind of a trick that programmers trick is to put a pitch LFO on environmental sounds. So wait, I need to undo that. I think I'm on the wrong layer. So let's go back to here and say remove that because I want to be on A and add a pitch LFO to and I like a triangle shape more than a sine wave shape. Now is LFO2 doing something else now? No, LFO1's doing pan. But its depth is down. Foot controller is doing LFO depth. So maybe we'll bring this up to start and invert it so that way the foot controller makes it go away. There, now we got some cool stereo play happening. I can bring the pad up, bring these other environmental sounds down a little bit. Let's unmodulate pan here. So that the pad stays. And then the final piece de resistance, I need to add a little EQ. So let's add, let's just do 7 band. And I want to add a little 100 hertz and maybe just a little bit in the high end and get rid of a little bit of the 500 hertz. Here's without it. Here's with it. Maybe bring down the super low stuff. Okay. So save patch as. Let's call this pad evolutionary species. How's that for something kind of different? Signs of life, pads and strings. By saving it into the pads and strings folder, that brings up the tags that are connected to this. This is kind of airy, fizzy, kind of bright, evolving motion for sure. There's kind of a stringy quality to it, so it's a hybrid. Sparkling and sweeping, and there's some swelling in it too. A little bit of everything. There. And then I can go in here and modify this. Made during the May 18th stream. Nice motion pad. Okay, save. Cool. Now, what if we wanted to use this for EDM? Let's try it. Let's turn on the link for all 3 layers so I can adjust the envelope. Then I'm going to turn off the link. For reverb, we need this now to be short. And we need to make the reverb. Let's turn off the reverb that was on the C layer. Cool. So you have all this motion stuff from the pad, but now fast attack. And let's maybe go to D, go to sample. I want to add something else to this that will make it even more of a fast pad. So let's say a fast attacky synth thing, right? Signs of life, go down here to the samples. That might work. But I want it to be filtered. I want it down an octave. Needs to be brighter. It might actually have to be a synth waveform. Let's go down here to the classics, to Sawtooth. I'm going to randomize the detune. And then try to time it so that and if you notice, here's one of these cases where the that's better. A couple other things I need to do. It needs some EQ to like it really stick out. So we'll say vintage 3-band. Let's add a segment here so that we can lock it so it goes down. And then it's going to join everybody's sweeping up. So I'm going to first move this out to here and then unlock this and bring it up. And then I want the envelope to get a little softer. So we'll add and have this come down. So it just as it starts to grow, it will come down a bit in volume. And I want the attack to be a little more unique. So I'm going to zoom in. That cool? And I want to what if the unison is an octave? Let's go over here to, let's see. I think we can kill the delays. So the way to test, as I've showed you guys over and over again, is to do this and then go in, go to Native Instruments, to Contact, call up Super Macho Drums, get a drum grooving, and make sure it is working the way you expect. So let's go over here, Super Macho Drums. Let's say we want to have like this cool EDM kit, right? And we could go over here to the player. I could program something, but it's just as easy to go over here, say, let's go to pop, down tempo, rap, jazz, blues, pop rock. So we could that works. That's fun. I like that. Okay, so now to work with this, I want the tambourine to be a little higher, so you can go to the editor page, pause, find the tambourine and lock it. Now play the groove again. A little EQ on it, so it's got a little more hi-hat-ish. Okay, so kind of works, kind of needs a little bit more shaping on the synth part. I want that to. I'm going to do a trick where I use the shape of the filter to do the resonance so that it will be strong resonance for a minute and then it kind of goes away. So we say modulate this with the filter envelope. So I can make it strong. That makes it be a little bit more fruity, more stuff on the attack. And let's go to the effects. Here's a case where let's shorten the high end frequency. And then to time and space. Help it kind of segue a little naturally. And then I think finally, let's have it be like that. I don't want to go quite that low. So hear how I'm moving around this this resting point. And I'm going to go to the unison and show this and then make it a little bit less. Cool. Like it a little bit darker. Oh. I'm going back and forth between the Superbooth video. Okay. And of course now it's 1:41. Time flies when you're programming. There. I want to grow a little sooner, right? I want to catch that ride. Cool. And C, I'm gonna... I just want to bring up the velocity sensitivity. So it expresses itself dynamically more. So I can have it there, or if I play soft, just an element. And let's go save patch as, and this is synth. Evolutionary. Yeah. Like 3 more minutes. Evolutionary. Brass. We'll call it evolutionary brass. Why not? So go over here. Synth poly is the folder. Save. Airy, fizzy, evolving. Well, it has evolving motion in it. It's more dance synth now. Comping synth, swelling. Okay. And a nice motion pad. It is not. It is now a nice Motion fast synth. Save. Oh, we got to have this version 2.6. Okay. There. 2 patches for the price of 1. And there's 60 of you nuts still hanging out. How funny. Now, once I get this on speakers, I will probably change it more, just so you know. Well, there you go. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully this gave you guys some food for thought. It's lots of fun. Lots of fun. And there's mod. I gotta add velocity and I gotta have resonance. Or let's see, go cut off to the mod wheel. Now, if I wanted to make this even cooler, I might go to the samples and go into the core library. And there's some very cool virus samples. Or something like that. Maybe. We'll play around. We'll see. But good stuff. Okay? I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Any questions? Let's do our shout outs. We haven't done shout outs in a while. Shout out from Portland, Oregon, where life is good. Once again, if you want the Kid Anthem libraries, you've got 2 weeks before they are retired. Glad you guys like Unify. We're really excited with the direction it's going. It's exciting to have something like that you're working on. Really exciting. Shout out. From the middle of Germany, Camus. Awesome. Heidelberg, Germany. Cool ambient. Good to see you, man. Bernie, right on, man. Kingston, Ohio. Yeah, the sun is sunny here too. It's really nice. Shane, we'll talk soon, my friend. Steven, yeah, right on in Oregon. Good to see you all. Munich, Bavaria. Hi, Harold. Hi, Jason. From Windmere, BC. Any loop engine? I don't know. It plays samples, and so samples can loop, so that's possible. Augsburg, Germany. Bronze Beats in the South Bronx. Right on. Cheers to the South Bronx. Oh, Edmonton for May and Jim. Oh, good to see you, man. All right. Thank you all for joining. Very fun. We'll do it again. Be well. Take care of the world, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye.